So many stories this year have begun with bystander video of police using questionable force, the police shootings of what have turned out often to be innocent victims. One of those in court just this week we've been reporting on this morning. Videos have prompted calls for the police to be on camera at all times. So the issue of body cameras, both in the United States and in Canada. And tonight, the Fifth Estate is looking into the pros and cons. It's Mark Kelley again who does the investigation. Thanks for coming in again.
Good morning, Heather.
Thinking about that, so many times we've talked about these incredible pictures and videos that have begun our coverage. How did this happen? What were the circumstances that led to a police shooting? So body cams for police have become very popular tools, haven't they?
I want you to think about something for a second, Heather. Put this into perspective. Every day in America, about 3 people will be killed by police. Every single day of the year. Last year was 991 people killed by police. This year they will match, if not exceed, that number. And typically what you'd have is, when a police investigation, would be the word of the police,
right,
a hero, well respected, against the word of a dead man. What happened is people with their phones, everywhere they'd go, they'd whip out their phones and they'd start recording these interactions. And then what happened is the video of those encounters didn't always square with the police version of those encounters. And that's prompted a call to get more police to wear body cameras. And body cameras are a camera like this it's affixed to the chest,
right,
and it'll record the entirety of that interaction. It gives context, it gives perspective, it gives background, it gives evidence. This is being seen in the United States as a way to try to rebuild trust, rebuild transparency, accountability. Really critical, especially in the United States when you have that many killings every year.
And when there's race involved in all of this. So it's supposed to remove the my word versus your word kind of accounting of things. And there's always the call immediately after one of these things, let's see the police body cam video. You've looked through hundreds of hours, and one of the things that I think is so interesting about your investigation, we're going to bring up the pictures to show, you'd think that maybe the body cam video would tell the whole story.
Yeah, and
but
I think
it doesn't.
It doesn't always. And here's watching this incident here, there was a gentleman who was arrested. You can see right now as the police are on him, beating this man.
Right.
He was he surrendered willingly. But in the first video, the body cam video, when it was very close quarters, you heard the police shouting, "Here, stop resisting, stop resisting." Now, when you look at that video, you get the impression when you hear the sound that the man is resisting.
Exactly.
They use this in evidence in court. They actually charged this man with resisting arrest until that parking lot surveillance camera.
Shot?
The wide shot was the parking lot surveillance.
Look at it again. There it
is.
is
You can see he's willingly surrendering. This was a guy who was being chased by police. Anyway, he was beaten badly. 2 of those officers face prison sentences now. His trial was recent. And this just shows you some of the limitations. Body cameras are an important tool for police, but they're not a panacea. They're not going to solve all the problems. They're not going to give you the big picture and answer all the questions. But in the United States right now, 96% of major police forces are either piloting or implementing the use of body cams because they see this at least as a piece of a puzzle to try to bring that trust and transparency.
So the United States far ahead of Canada in terms of the use of body cams. What's the reality here?
We looked to find out today how many police forces in Canada are using these on a day-to-day basis. We found 2 police forces. One is in Amherstburg, Ontario.
Near Windsor.
Near Windsor, you know it, at 16 police officers. Another is in Cornwallis, Manitoba, with a police force of 1 police officer.
And that's it. But Toronto has been looking at it.
Toronto did a pilot project. Other major cities have done a pilot project. Toronto wants to go ahead. They want to outfit 3,200 frontline officers with body cams. There's a cost issue. That's $87 million is the initial cost. You've got to get the hardware. You've got to store hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours of footage. You've got privacy issues. You've got the issue over, the police officer still controls when that camera is turned on or turned off.
That was the big issue that came out of the pilot project study, wasn't it?
Absolutely. But what also came out of that pilot project, which is interesting, talking to the Toronto police about this, they said when their officers wore those cameras, it was behavior modification. The officers were on better behavior, the public that they were dealing with on better behavior. And that's one of the goals that they're hoping to. It'll give a fuller picture of an encounter. It'll give that evidence if it's needed. It'll reduce the number of complaints they're hoping from the public, and it'll put police on their best behavior, knowing that they're being watched.
Timely issue, and you'll see it tonight. Mark, as always, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And tonight, Caught on Camera airs on the Fifth Estate, 9 p.m. on CBC Television, and it's 9:30 in Newfoundland.